From 96, I'm riding with a pistol grip banana clip from Simpson Road to Adamville. I'm repping this Atlanta-ish. Shout out to you if you know that. Shout out to you if you don't know that. It's fine. So, we all remember the 2009 Orlando Magic that made it to the NBA Finals, coached by Stan Van Gundy, right? The basic game plan was Dwight Howard surrounded by a bunch of shooters. And you dump the ball into Howard, and if the defense has to double team him, which was often, he could kick it out to either Jameer Nelson, Courtney Lee, Michael Petras, Rashard Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, and that game plan, like I mentioned, got the Magic to the NBA Finals. Well, now it seems Stan Van Gundy is really close to having that same sort of team with the Detroit Pistons, and it really started with the departure of Greg Monroe and Josh Smith, because now the one big man that he's really got is Andre Drummond. And if we look at Drummond's physical tools, he kind of resembles Dwight Howard. Very athletic, a great rebounder already. He averages 13 for the last 2 seasons. And defensively, he's pretty solid as well. The question is, can Drummond replicate Dwight Howard's scoring when he was at his peak? I don't know. I mean, as of right now, Drummond's about a 12, 13-point scorer. You're asking him to go up to like 18 points a game in one season? That's a bit of a task, but at the same time, given that Greg Monroe is now gone and the paint is just completely open for Andre Drummond, and we know how Stan Van sees him, I think it's possible, because you got to remember, Drummond won't just be in the post, he'll be in pick and rolls and things of that nature. But that's not the only thing that makes these new Pistons look like those Orlando Magic. It's the shooting as well. I mean, with the acquisition of Ersan Ilyasova as well as Markieff Morris, those are two shooters that can play the power forward position that remind me a lot of Rashard Lewis. And when they acquired Rashard Lewis, the Magic, that really solidified the type of style they were going with. And in my opinion, acquiring Ersan Ilyasova and Marcus Morris, that solidifies the way Stan Van wants to play with these Pistons. However, he also drafted Stanley Johnson, who's probably going to be the small forward. I mean, maybe from day one, which, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of rookies starting, but, you know, I don't think he'll be a bad player. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I just don't see him making a huge impact right away. But he seems to have the tools to make it work, because I believe he shot 37% from 3 in college. I mean, you transition over to the NBA, 37%, that's pretty damn solid, okay? So a little bit of improvement, get himself up to 40% or just near it, that's more than adequate. The shooting guard position, right now he's got Jody Meeks and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And I'm going to keep going back to the three-pointers because, as we know, Stan Van, you got to be able to hit threes to play on with his system. So Jody Meeks last season, if you look at his percentages, he shot about 34% from 3, which was a regression. However, if you look at the last 2 months of last season for Jody Meeks, he shot over 40%. So that shows me that he's probably going to be back to his three-point shooting form this season, which probably makes him the starting 2 guard. I don't know. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope might be a little better of a player. However, for Stan Van's system, I think Jody Meeks may start because he's a better knockdown shooter. But I really like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope coming off the bench. And for what it's worth, Pope shot around 40% from 3 to end last season as well. But now the conversation comes to the point guards. It's Brandon Jennings and it's Reggie Jackson. And that's just, one of those guys is going to get traded because I just can't picture one of them coming off the bench. And it kind of seems like Stan Van is, as of right now, on the side of Reggie Jackson. But if Brandon Jennings can keep up how he was playing before he got injured last year, then, I mean, do you have to go with him? I don't know. I think what will happen is one of them is going to outplay the other. One of them is going to get traded. And as far as what it is, I don't know. I mean, I look at the Pistons roster. I like it. I mean, it's Reggie Jackson, Jody Meeks, Stanley Johnson, maybe Ilyasova, maybe Morris, Drummond. I like it. It's the game plan that Stan Van likes. It's the one big man down low. It's shooters around him. And I believe that Stan Van's vision for these Detroit Pistons is starting to shape into form. Where do I see them in the playoffs in the East? I could very well see them get into the top 5. I'm serious. I could see that. So I think that's going to be it. I like the Pistons. I like the route they're going. I think Stan Van's one of the best coaches in the NBA. So leave me your opinion on the Detroit Pistons. And that's it.